indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. We have a quorum. We always set aside time for public comment 2 times during the meeting, one in just a few moments and then one before we adjourn. You're welcome to speak both times, just one of the times, or if you're just here to listen, that's also fine. If you have a comment, we would ask that it be related to county government matters. And also, if you could try to limit your time to about 5 minutes or so, we'd appreciate that courtesy. We also set aside time for our row officers who might have any matters of business to bring before us, but today none of our row officers are here with us. We do have, later in the meeting, we have some time set aside for the library. I just didn't want you to think we were forgetting you, so we do have that on here. But let me open it up and see if anybody has any public comments or questions at this point. Hearing none. Again, we'll do this before we adjourn. Under fiscal and contractual, we have received a number of repository property bids, 5 of which come from the city of Newcastle, and the last one will be one out in North Beaver Township. So, gentlemen, would you mind if I just walk through these, and would you be agreeable to taking one vote for all 6 of them, assuming we agree on all 6? Okay, thank you for that. Vanessa, what would the number of this first one be?
193.
Thank you. This is proposed resolution 193. As noted, it is a repository bid. This is a bid for a parcel in the city of Newcastle on Butler Avenue in the 4th Ward. The permanent ID number of the parcel is 04088600. Person making the bid is Diane Searfoss, and the amount of the bid is $500. The city of Newcastle signed off on this back on June 7th, and the Newcastle Area School District did likewise. I'm assuming those are July 8 of 2024. And now it's up to us, and if all 3 taxing bodies agree to the bid, then the person making the bid can then secure the property. So that's the first one. Any questions on the first one? Hearing none, thank you. Secondly, Charmaine Blake has made a $500 bid for a property on Bell Avenue in the 6th Ward of the city of Newcastle. Its ID number is 06074000. City of Newcastle officials approved the bid on June 7, and the Newcastle Area School District did the same thing on July 8. And in a few moments, if there's agreement, we can do likewise on this one. And that was number 194. Number 195, again in the city of Newcastle. It's a $500 bid made by Kelsey Parks for a parcel on East Wallace Avenue in the 2nd Ward. The ID number is 02-141-200. Both the city officials and the Newcastle Area School Board have approved this bid. Number 196, again in the city of Newcastle, Talisa, I hope I pronounced her name right, Trapp, has made an $800 bid on a parcel in the 5th Ward of the city on East Home Street. The ID number is 05-041400. Both the city officials and the Newcastle School Board have approved this bid. 197 The bid was made by Matt DeSalvo in the amount of $500. Parcel is located on Locust Street in the first ward of the city. The ID number is 01-055300. The city officials approved it on July 12. Looks like we don't have a response from the school district, but
Yeah, this is the one that Jason had talked to you and Richard about, remember?
me
Yes.
or this Dan?
You.
I'm embarrassed to say this, refresh my, oh, yes, Mr. DeSalvo came in and met with us.
Mhm.
And then one of you came into that meeting, I think, towards the end. Does that not ring a bell? Maybe I'm forgetful. Forgive me if I misstated that. But yes, this gentleman came in and I'm trying to recall, obviously, there was a time frame
Yes,
situation.
yes.
Is this coming back to you now? And
And Jason said we could go ahead and approve.
he
before-
did say we could. And part of the dilemma, if I recall now, it's all coming back to me, because we don't meet on the 6th of August. And there's a deadline this gentleman has, and so does the possibility exist that the school board could still vote on it?
Yes.
It could, okay. But from the standpoint of this gentleman's time frame and our schedules, it's better that we vote on it now. Is that all coming back to you as well? Okay, good. My apologies.
You know what?
Do you recall this
I do
too?
recall this.
Okay.
We talked about it, you're right.
Okay, good.
So you're not crazy, Chair. Since you said that, we had to have that because of the time frame.
Yes, okay, good. I'm glad you,
Controversy.
Yep.
It was up in the call, yes. Okay.
thank you both. And Vanessa, thanks particularly for
You're
keeping
welcome.
us in line here. So based on all this discussion, bottom line is we conversed with the gentleman who made the bid in the presence of our solicitor, and the advice we got was that it would be okay for us to go ahead and vote on this. Generally what happens is when we get a repository bid, it goes to the local city, borough, township first, thinking that those folks know their community better than the school district or even us. And then it generally goes to the school district because they are the largest tax body in terms of the dollar amounts that are paid. Then finally it does come to us. So we're making a minor exception here, but we're doing it with the advice of our solicitor. So that's number 197. And then the final one, number 198, this is out in North Beaver Township. I'm going to say Jarrell Jones. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Jarrell or Jarrell Jones. It's a $500 bid on a parcel in North Beaver Township on the Mount Jackson Hickory Road. ID number 26-075700. The North Beaver Township Supervisors approved this on June 27th. The Mohawk Area School Board approved it on July 16th. And now it's up for us for our consideration. So what we have, gentlemen, are repository bids, starting with Resolution 193 and going up and including 198. Before I take a motion, let me see, Dan, any concerns on any of these? Thank you. Chris, any questions or concerns? All right, looks fine. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. May I have a motion then to cover giving approval to proposed resolutions 193 up through and including 198?
I move that we accept these resolutions.
Second.
Any further comments? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thanks, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda, we receive each week from the controller's office, the warrant registers, also referred to as the check reconciliation register. We have 3 of them today dated July 15, July 17, and July 19. Gentlemen, I'll give you time to take a look at them, and whenever you're ready, I could take a motion for us to accept these documents.
I'll make a motion to accept the documents.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanada. Any concerns? Or if not, then we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The minutes of our last week's meeting, July 16, are in our packet. Once again, gentlemen, please take the time you need to look them over. And whenever you're ready, we can take a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
I move we accept the minutes.
Thank you, Chris.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. Any concerns about the minutes, gentlemen? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under written communications, we have received an email from our friends at the Newcastle Public Library that I'm going to read into the record for in just a moment. But we have an official from the Newcastle Library with us, Anastasia Brown. From what I understand, you live in Slippery Rock Township and you attend Grove City College, where I believe, are you going into your sophomore year? Okay,
Yes.
so you survived the freshman year.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. So
That's wonderful. Well, what's your major?
English secondary education.
Oh, okay, that's great. So you want to be a teacher?
I do, yes.
Fantastic. That's even, I'll say this even though I'm a Westminster grad, but you're going to a good school.
Thank you.
It's kind of tough for me to say that, but I'll say
I
it.
appreciate it.
Not for me, my daughter went there. She's a teacher.
How about that?
That's good.
I'm going to read the information we received, but Anastasia, did you have anything you wanted to say at this time?
I just wanted to say on behalf of everyone at the Newcastle Public Library, we want to thank all of you for your continued support. So thank you.
You're very welcome. We appreciate your taking the time to come up. So with the permission of my colleagues, this is under written communication. Let me read what was sent to us. This comes from Carissa Neary, who's the development manager at the Newcastle Public Library. And she writes as follows: we are reaching out to request that this be read at the next upcoming public meeting of the commissioners, announcing that the Newcastle Area Public Library intends to submit an application requesting 200 devices be provided to the library, and they're going to apply for these devices through the COVID-19 American Rescue Plan Capital Projects Fund Digital Connectivity Technology Program. That's a mouthful. As well as the library's intention to reapply for the 2025 Keystone Grant Cycle. In addition, we will be approaching the commissioners to ask them for their support through a letter of recommendation for the digital connectivity technology program and a Keystone grant. Anastasia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have to ask, and if you don't know, it's quite all right. They say in the letter here they're looking to purchase 200 devices. Do you happen to know what those devices are, what they might do, or?
I'm afraid I'm not aware.
That's quite all right. No, don't worry about that. I'm sure it's certainly for a good cause. Was there anything else that either Mr. Henley or Ms. Neary asked that you share with us?
I was really only provided with this information.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to see if Mr. Kennedy has any questions or comments.
None at this time.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sanada?
Chris, thank you for coming today and for making your presentation. So please, good luck as you get ready for your sophomore year.
Thanks so much.
We'll enter this into the record, And we've always enjoyed a good working relationship with our friends at the library. And we wish them much continued success. You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If they need you to be back at the library, we understand, but whatever works for you. Do you commute or do you live up on campus?
I lived on campus this past year and I plan to do that again this year.
Oh,
but
good.
Yeah,
Hope that went well.
it was really fun.
Did you make a ton of new friends?
I did.
Good.
Cool people.
I look back at my 4 years in college. I look back very fondly on particularly my freshman year. You know, it's all new and exciting, and I made a lot of friends, and friends that I've kept for over 40 years. And I wish the same for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining us. Once again, if you have to go, we understand. If you're interested in staying, either way.
I will stay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anastasia. Under reports, commissioner reports and comments, I was actually out of town most of last week and over the weekend visiting my daughter and her family. So I don't have much to go with today, so I'm going to turn it over. I know both of my colleagues have been very busy, so I'm sure they have a lot to report. Commissioner Sanada.
Well, thank you, Chairman Vogler. I mean, I think last weekend was a very, very busy weekend. It was a great weekend for Lawrence County. We had beautiful weather. I'm just going to hit on a few events I had an opportunity to go to. And I had that opportunity, and give a shout out to Mahoneytown, where I was originally from, to fourth grade. And they brought back a great tradition down Mahoneytown, the St. Marguerite Festival. That's something that went on when I was a little kid down Mahoneytown. After many years, they brought it back. And they have what you call the traditional baby doll dance on Friday night with the Blue Coat Band, which is probably, I think it's been over 100 years performing in Lawrence County. And, food was good, and it's a nice turnout for the Mahoneytown community. So I think it was a great event, and commend the St. Marguerite Club for bringing this tradition back. You've got a group of good men and women that participate in that club. They're really trying to help the Mahoneytown community, and just like to say it was a great event. It was nice that I had the opportunity, to go down there and visit with many of the residents of Mahoneytown, many I've known for many years. Then we got on to Saturday and had that opportunity, which I've done I used to do for many years, back to Eden Valley, and they had their annual community day. And I think of Mahoneytown, but I think of Eden Valley is very similar. It's a very small knit community. It's very in the country type of community. Has a lot of great family values. And, they're so respectful in the community. And I had a chance to, represent the county commissioners at the opening ceremony, and then I had a chance to participate in the parade. It was a neat little parade, and people were out, and the kids were there, and it was just a neat venue, and they have a lot of history that they have that goes on in Eden Valley. So I had a chance to visit with many of the residents down there, and I thought that was another. I think they've been doing this, I don't know how many years. Do you know how many years, Dan? I mean, as far back as I can remember.
I think it actually started with the nation's bicentennial.
You may be right. I think it goes back to 1975 or 76.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just more than
47.
47. That would be about right. Yeah. So I'm saying that's how far back this goes, and I started doing this in 1994. I was going there when I was a representative. So it was good to see many of our residents there, and commend the Fosters, Dave and Judy, for putting that on. They were instrumental in that. We thank them for their efforts. And so I got a chance to do that. And I also want to shout out to, I had a chance to go to Chew for Carter's, the second annual Carter's Cruise, a young man who lost his life a few years ago. And the family put on a charity event last year, and I went. So I said, I want to go back this year. It was so nice. It actually grew a lot more cars. It's a big car cruise. Chinese auction, and I think Starfunkel was there playing the band, so I had a chance to see some people there. And from there, I come up to the courthouse and met up with Commissioner Kennedy and the Hoyt. This is something that we also want to shout out to them and for their mural that they painted here at the courthouse. They were successful in obtaining the grant And they've done a few others in the city, and if you have a chance to see it, they did a beautiful job. And I know Dan, your wife was part of that team, working very hard. And it was, unfortunately, I don't have that much of a good painting skill, but Jenny and her sister from the tourist promotion agency, and Kim from the White was there, and a few other people. So that was a neat venue. So then I ended up going downtown to the fireworks festival. That's something we as the county helped support. We were one of the main sponsors of it. And I want to thank, the city of Newcastle and their elected officials. I think we really got to give them a lot of credit for putting this together and bringing back a tradition. That we've had that for many years here. And, I think it went very well, the way it was organized. And I throw this out there, and I saw, many of the local businesses that are downtown, winery, distillery, and brewery, they were all there, and people were having a good time. We had some good bands. The famous Durrells were playing at the Diamond Center, and then you had, I think, Suds, and can't really know that band, but they did an excellent job later on, and Grand Soul did a great job. So, the music was playing. People were all having a good time. I think the Newcastle police, from my understanding, there was no issues, no problems downtown. So it was just a good thing. But I want to throw something else out there that I was really impressed with. One of our new businesses going downtown at the former First National Bank building, they had it opened up for the public to go in and see it. And I had the opportunity to go inside, look in the vault, where they're going to be opening the new restaurant downtown. I think it was a great idea for them to have that building open, to show the residents of Lawrence County they're committed to the county, and hopefully get a lot of people to patronize it in the future. And I think it was a great idea for them to be down there to greet the public. And I was impressed. With it. I know Commissioner Kennedy spent some serious time with. I'm sure he'll probably hit on it as well. But you know what? It's a good thing for downtown Newcastle. I just want to throw this out there to all the businesses downtown. You got the big car show coming up with Phil Sinceri, the Memories Car Show at the end of August. And my recommendation to all our businesses is to open that Sunday, because a lot of times they're not open on that Sunday. I think it'd be a great opportunity to show what you've got downtown and give the people that opportunity. I think it's so important because there are businesses downtown Newcastle. There's others trying to make it down there, and we have to show support. And when you can bring thousands of people into downtown Newcastle, I think it's a good opportunity for them to show their wares. Like I said, I was impressed because this building was open for the public to go and see. Then I ended up at the Historical Society. They traditionally have a fireworks party up there to get a chance to watch the fireworks go off. So that was my weekend, and it was busy, but it was a good busy because you know what? If anyone says there was nothing to do in Lawrence County this past weekend, I could totally disagree with them and tell them it was a great weekend. The weather cooperated, and there was people coming from all over. Tourism is important for us in Lawrence County. We want to keep that going. So I just had a good opportunity. I felt pretty good about it, and it was, again, thank you to all the Newcastle elected officials who participated, put that event on, and to especially a man named Aaron Elliott. He's a good community-minded individual. He's not an elected official, but he was very instrumental working with the city council members and putting that together. So I just want to throw that all out there, and that's pretty much what I have.
Thank you so much, Chris. Dan?
Well, mine started out Friday afternoon. Dan wasn't here, but Joe, Chris, and Vanessa, they put me back in the emergency room with high blood pressure. So that's right. I'll blame it on them anyways. That was minor. They're trying to adjust my meds, but I ended up making it out. And Saturday morning, my wife said, "I'm gonna let him sleep in." So when I got up, Chris sends me a text and says, "Hey, you coming to Eden Valley?" Oh, I got to get there. So I took off and went down, and I walked around and saw some people. And it was a good morning we had. I left there, went back home and took a rest, and then Debbie and I come down to the mural in the afternoon, and Kimberly and Ginny were over there painting away, and they didn't want me to paint because they knew I'd make a mess. So we made Debbie paint some, and she got some done. Then we went back home and rested a little bit, and come to dinner, and came down to Newcastle. And I got to say one thing: they put on a heck of a show. It was a 20-minute fireworks display, and at the end, it was fantastic. We didn't hear anything. We didn't hear anything about anybody doing anything they shouldn't have done. It was a nice evening, and we wandered around, and then I wandered into the bank. I told Chris I was in there for an hour. The young man's from Vietnam that bought it. He's an immigrant. He looks like he's about 35 years old, and he told me he's 55. I couldn't believe it. Nice young man who's got a young partner down there with him. When they open up, that bank doesn't look like a bank anymore. You can still pinpoint some stuff. But he had me back in the vaults and was showing me the vaults and what he's going to do upstairs. It's nice seeing somebody here investing in Newcastle, and he will get it done. He's just that driven. So it was nice to see him, and then I got to relax Sunday and back at it again on Monday. Busy weekend, bit of a busier, but when things happen to me, my wife kind of stops me from doing things. She was yelling at me when I was walking out the door on Saturday morning. Stay out of the heat. And I did. Chris will attest to that. I was down there in a couple shade trees, but we did.
Yes, you were. I will give you credit for standing there and doing what you had to do.
We're still recovering from this major surgery, and I got to learn what I can do and what I can't do. I still think I can go and hit the gas pedal and keep going, and then it puts the brakes on real quick. But we're learning. Yesterday, I stayed till about 2, and I got out of here just because I could feel my blood pressure going up. And it did a little bit, but we're back down today, so we're doing all right. It's good. Dan's back. He's keeping it down.
And I appreciate your representing the board at different events. And also want to thank Commissioner Sanada, because yesterday you attended on our behalf. Every 3 months, the county commissioners from the northwestern section of Pennsylvania meet as a group, and each county takes a turn hosting. And yesterday's meeting was in Clarion County. They have a county park up there, so it's kind of a picnic atmosphere. But thanks for going to that. You got a chance to interact with a lot of our fellow commissioners from this section of Pennsylvania. Thank you for doing that. And I think in 3 months we'll be in Clearfield County. Good. So, gentlemen, thank you both very much. The next 5 items are contracts through our Children and Youth Services Department. Now, we've got folks from CYS, we've got folks from juvenile probation, so it's kind of a tag team, but who's starting today?
Do pathways first. It's only
We'll just do pathways, then we'll let you guys finish.
Okay, so Pat Micko is is director of our juvenile probation office, and John Bout is our Children and Youth Services Director. And Mike, as always, thank you for this document. That helps. The first item, did I miss anything, Mike?
No.
Okay.
No.
The first item on number 199, is that right, Vanessa? Thank you. It's a contract with Pathways Adolescent Center based in Oil City, Venango County. Gentlemen?
So, commissioners, thank you for your time and consideration this morning. Pathways is a provider we've used in the past. This is a renewal. They offer group home and emergency shelter services, at times diagnostic for both children and youth and juvenile probation. We come before you with aspects of their programming that you've seen before, and a potential new pilot for you to consider. And the new pilot program that they're offering is an emergency shelter that was presented to us by the Office of Children, Youth, and Families. They brought this to our attention, in which they thought that we would be a good fit. Us and no more than 4 other counties are being given the opportunity to pilot program funding for a year or 2 tops in emergency shelter bed.
Hey, may I stop you for a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tell us, if you know this, the location of this facility.
Oil City,
This facility itself is in Oil City.
yes.
Because I'm thinking, I'm sorry to digress, but remember when we were at that meeting in Edmonton? Didn't you go for a tour, or was that Chris? So this is something different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the old, it was like a YDC type facility.
Okay, so this is different from what,
Atlantic up and up on the, yeah, I know where you're at.
You know where- yeah.
Okay.
They got, rites of passage from Texas.
That's it, yes, that's what I toured.
I
yes.
was getting the two mixed up, but I will note, and Chris, you'll especially appreciate this. And I hope I get this right. The Pathways organization, as you gentlemen noted, is in Oil City. And one of their offices, or maybe it's their main office, is right across the street from the Northwest Commission's office in Oil City. So when you go to those
Yes.
meetings in Park, I hope I have that right.
I think you're correct.
Okay, I'm so sorry to have interrupted you and maybe hope I didn't throw your train of thought off, so.
No, I'm glad you're oriented to their main building and the location. And so when the state approached us with this pilot opportunity, they took into account some of the shared challenges that CYS and JPO have experienced over the last few years, with us having emergency scenarios that have resulted in staff in hotels providing direct service care. We've had children that for periods of time we have been unable to find providers for, and they have been sleeping in our waiting room. We've had scenarios where very last minute we have been court ordered to drive across the state, and having 10 or 11 hours while on the road securing a child's safety and then problem solving to try to find a provider for the child to go to. So we end up throughout our year with these very difficult situations. As we spoke to you before, we are only seeing more and more complex cases, which are not unique to Lawrence County. Across the Commonwealth, counties are experiencing more and more complex case scenarios. And we end up in these complex case scenarios with sometimes 50, 100, sometimes as many as 120 or 130 providers having told us no. And so Pathways is familiar to you as a renewal because we've used their services intermittently for many, many years. The part of this presentation that I really want to spotlight for you is the new piece for you to consider, and what we're recommending is that we do take advantage of this opportunity presented to us by the Office of Children, Youth, and Families, working with this provider. We do, for a period of 1 year, but no more than 2 years, program Fund to Bed, and then that will help support both agencies and additionally our court system. And the last point that I would note is that our court, through previous cases, has demonstrated that they want to look locally at really all costs. And so yes, we have sent Lawrence County children to the Philadelphia area, and at times, currently, the only providers willing to accept one of our kids is 4 hours away, 5 hours away. But we would rather, as joint departments, we would rather keep our kids closer to home. That keeps them closer to their families. That allows for that continuity still between the child and their natural support systems. It becomes very challenging for us as not only two departments, but when you really think of, we have children that are in residential placement, it's all new to them. It helps to be able to have things like a Sunday visit with family or people that care about them. And the further away from Newcastle we go, the harder that becomes for many of our families. So I recommend from a CYS perspective that we move forward with Pathways contract as a whole, which includes the emergency shelter portion, again, for for maybe 1 year, but no more than 2 years of program funding.
I can tell you that we've seen the numbers in juvenile probation in 23-24 was used 200 days of care just in emergency shelter. So when you look at program funding for 365 plus 95 days in secure detention, I will guarantee you all those 95 days you could just throw under emergency shelter because we had to bump them up to. So we take a kid that qualifies for emergency shelter, is not available. So we're using a detention bed in Ohio right now. And the tough part of that, again, is you talk about location, logistics, it becomes difficult. And then you don't have that. We've actually created lists between both agencies. I'll give Lisa the credit of that. She's gone down every place where we can possibly call. We're in Center County. We go down all these lists just to make sure the judge knows we made every effort to contact people. And it's been more difficult. And with Allegheny County, they're reopening a portion of the SHU, but what's it, 6 or 8 beds versus how many kids used to be in the Schumann Center?
120 or 130.
So that's a small dent in what's going to happen to help Allegheny County out. But in the recession in beds that are out everywhere else are not necessarily going to equate to us. We're struggling to find a bed. This guarantees us program funded. The beauty of this, usually program funded comes with a red flag because you're paying for it whether you use it or whether you don't. And in this case with the state, unless we had a kid in there prior to this arrangement, we paid 100% of that program funded day. So if a kid wasn't in there, we had to pay, the county picked up, the state didn't match. In this scenario, the state, in this initial, we were actually reluctantly found out about it, and now they had to include Lawrence County in their pilot, which they did. And we're asked pretty much that to stay kind of quiet about that. But right now they're testing some of our counties to give us that opportunity. And right now, when we don't have a kid, if we don't for some reason, which is unforeseen, they're still paying their share, which is 90-10 in emergency shelter. So 90% state, 10% county. So the cost, the county picks up 10%. I don't anticipate, because between both of us, we're sharing a bed, CYS and JPO. And I told you I accounted for 295 days just last year in 2023. The good news is again, through the work of Lisa, my deputy, we're increasing some of the things in our estimated implementation year, which shows we have more money coming in, and if we don't use it, of course, that money will offset that cost. And I talked to John because I wasn't sure we can do it because it wasn't in our going forward budget, but they were able to do it so that we can get that bed so that it was already accounted for and money's unspent that we could pull forward in the 24-25. This is the implementation year. The needs-based year is 25-26, which is coming up. We'll have a public meeting on that next week.
So the last thing that I would add to this, and you touched on it a bit, it's 90-10 reimbursement. Why am I coming before you and recommending this? First and foremost, it's good for our kids, right? There's a safety component to this, and it keeps them closer to home. That checks my first box. My second box, it's fiscally responsible in the fact that it's 90% reimbursed by the state. If it wasn't 90% reimbursed, it necessarily wouldn't check that box. And I personally may not have gotten to this table to present this to you. And so when you look at the total cost, and I'm going to give you an approximation, yes, it's $615 a day. It's program funded. And my third box is for no more than 2 years. So again, it improves safety of kids, keeps them closer to home. It's 90% covered by the state. And there's a cap on it of 2 years. And I think all three of those are important considerations from my assessment and why I think this is a good thing for us to do. And the total cost to the county after reimbursement, again, is approximately $22,000, $23,000 when you take 10% of the total, right? And so that's the recommendation as it pertains.
It requires our agencies to work together too, which means, okay, let's make sure that bed's filled, but make sure we're not going over 30 days for that portion, because that's when it drops to 20% county after 30 days. We got to get them in, get them placed, get them moved within the first 30 days. And we communicate well. So with their fiscal with us, everyone, Lisa can get a hold of anybody. We actually matched on 4 quarters, which might be the first time that's happened probably since I've been here. So our numbers match with what they had fiscally for us up at CYS now, it's a good feeling to know that we're working with actually real numbers as we go forward, but I'm not gonna drag it on, so.
Well, gentlemen, you've both made, to me at least, and I would imagine my colleagues, very compelling argument, and I appreciate the thoroughness of it. I have a comment, a couple quick questions, and then I'll turn it over to the other 2 commissioners for their questions. John, you referenced, they're referred to as complex cases. And I want to thank you because, oh my goodness, at least a year or so ago, the State County Commissioners Association formed a complex case task force, and I was appointed to serve on that committee. We had a very capable chair of that committee. He's a county commissioner from Dauphin County, George Hartwick, who is very focused on matters like this and mental health matters and developmental services matters. Yeah, you would especially like George. George, maybe you've met him in your travels. Oh, okay, so you know George. He's a great guy. And I know you sat in on some of the meetings because a lot of them were done by Zoom. And they came up with some recommendations. But I think running concurrently with that, I think the State Department of Human Services had their own committee that was looking at those issues as well. But I wanted to acknowledge your help in giving me some guidance as a member of that committee. The other 2 questions I have you advised or will you advise the courts, specifically Judge Acker, his staff, Master Papa, are they aware of this or will they be aware of this?
Commissioner, I had the opportunity last week to speak with Judge Acker about this potential opportunity, and he was in support of utilizing Pathways as an emergency shelter. Again, in the joint effort between CYS, juvenile probation, and our court system of trying to keep Lawrence County kids in Lawrence County when we can, and when we can't, as close to home as we can.
Yep, but Venango County's a lot closer than Philadelphia. It's only, what, an hour and 20 minutes to get to Oil City.
Judge Acker's been adamant about that. I mean, that's why he'll be delighted to hear it. I think our main goal is to make sure that we have one bed. We got to make sure we don't overuse it. It becomes because it's access. We got to make sure we're putting the right kids in that bed, utilizing that bed correctly. It's real important, and that means we work together.
Sure. No, that's good to know. Second question. Do you know who the other counties are that will have access to this program as well? If you don't, that's okay. But
the counties that have been referenced, Fayette, Greene, Butler, and I believe Armstrong. But I'm not as confident in regards to Armstrong as I am those first few counties.
Everything south of Allegheny except for us. Like it was a smaller county.
right. I didn't hear you say Venango though, which is where this is located. It's located in Venango County, but
It may be Venango and not Armstrong.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, thank you. I'm going to see if Commissioner Sanada has any questions or concerns.
I think you made a very good presentation. I think it's something that I know Judge Acker wants to keep kids as close as we can to Lawrence County, and I think this could satisfy that. John, for the people that are watching on TV right now, could you explain what the program funding is?
So program funding is funding that is awarded to any given agency that sets a budget that is controlled and without client variable. And what I mean by that is whether they have one client or they have 10 clients, their costs are set for, in our world, a fiscal year. And so in this instance, we're providing you with what this works out to be for, by day at $615 a day. But the contract that we're presenting to you is for program funding for a year or two, which then sets their total budget that we'd be responsible for at a total amount, not an annual amount, not a daily amount. And so program funding is annual, fee for service is daily or based off of the total number of clients served.
All right, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Chris, anything else? No. Okay, thank you. Before I turn it over to Commissioner Kennedy, I'll welcome our friends from the Newcastle News, Debbie Wachter and Hayden Schultz. Good morning. Glad you're both here. Oh, I know you're always on the go, and that's certainly. We're at, under new business, we're on the first proposed resolution from CYS, Pathways Adolescent Center. And we've spent a good deal of time discussing this, and maybe just in a nutshell, what they're asking of us is to approve a contract with Pathways that does a number of things, but most importantly, or probably the issue that we focused on is a facility that Pathways will have in Venango County that we might be able to utilize for our at-risk children who, in other instances, might have to travel as far as Philadelphia for a place to be housed. And we're excited to hear this. The other thing I'll mention, we have a special guest today. Anastasia Brown is with us from the Newcastle Public Library. She's a student at Grove City College, and she's a resident of Lawrence County. She lives out in Slippery Rock Township. And the library earlier in the meeting had asked us to make note of the fact that they're going to be applying for some grants through the Commonwealth. And that's all in the packet that we'll be able to give you when we're done. So as you looked around the room, if you wondered, well, who's that nice young lady sitting back there? She's with the Newcastle Public Library. So, gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Kennedy to see what questions he might have.
The only comment I have, John, it seems to be a no-brainer. You gotta send people to Philadelphia. It costs a lot of money to send them out there. At $22 you're gonna pay the Pathways, it's gonna pay for itself in no time. So just going up to Willow City is, an hour up, an hour back, versus 5-6 hours to Philly and 5 or 6 hours back. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And again, Debbie, right before you came in, we probably spent the last 10 or 15 minutes specifically talking about this. So if you'd like the details, obviously you can watch the recording, or you can talk to John or Pat or both. I also neglected to ask you two gentlemen, are you agreeable if we do these 5 as a group, as terms of voting on them? Unless you need to pull one of them out, let's say, but can we keep going then? Is there anything else on Pathways number 199 that we need to discuss?
The one additional comment with Pathways is it would be available to us as of August 1st. So board approval, and then we would look to start utilizing this program as of August. And again, if approved, I tentatively have in my schedule to visit Pathways new emergency shelter on Thursday to see it and to be able to talk to the staff and the program leadership that are going to be working directly with our kids.
Is it safe to say that you gentlemen already enjoy a good working relationship with this organization?
The whole staff, they can contact whoever to get a hold of somebody middle of the night. Yeah.
I agree.
Good, that's great to know. Thank you both. We'll move on to the next proposed resolution, number 200. This is a contract renewal with the Keystone Adolescent Center, which is based in Greenville, Mercer County. Gentlemen?
So Keystone Adolescent Center, this is a renewal contract. They offer group homes and foster care. Historically, both CYS and JPO have utilized Keystone services. The range is, in terms of cost, $192.06 a day, up to $390 a day. I will add that they are looking to transition and have notified us that they're going to discontinue their foster care services. And so we bring the contract, but know that over the course of the year, we won't be utilizing the foster care portion at all, or, well, I think we have currently, one child that is still on the foster care side. That is, it's a mother-baby scenario, and we're working on transitioning. But I will add, and Mr. Mika, you please jump in, but Keystone is a program that is on the group home side over time has taken fewer and fewer kids.
Does this create a major problem, or do you have enough alternative organizations with whom you've contracted that this won't be it might be a problem, but not a major one?
We have been able to work through this transition in which the foster mother is looking to be a permanent resource for our teenage mother and her baby. And we have been able to transition. We've identified a provider that the foster mother will open with a new foster care agency and maintain that continuity for the two children, our teen mother and her baby. So the scenario is working out in which our two children that we're serving will be able to stay in the same home with the same support system. So it's worked out the way we would have hoped.
I'm glad to hear that. And then I'm assuming that Keystone's moving away from the foster care section of their line of work, that's applicable to all the counties that they deal with. Is that right? It's not specific to Lawrence County.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Before I turn it over to Commissioner Kennedy, Pat, anything else?
With Keystone, we, over the last several years, I don't know how else to say it, they don't want delinquent kids, it seems like. We've tried to make referrals to them, and unfortunately with placement, what we deal on is kids that are non-cooperative in the community who pose a risk. We don't place everybody, so the kids we have usually are, they kind of defer them or say, we're not interested in that kid. Shelter care, it's been how long since we've had a kid in a shelter care facility?
Years.
They won't take any of our kids, which is even made the situation, and we have no reason why. I've reached out multiple times to talk to Magic Tilly, to talk to Todd, and they claim there's nothing, no issues or nothing wrong. So I continue to reach out and continue to attempt to make referrals, but for some reason, they don't want a Lawrence County kid. I don't know what your experience was with that.
Now, you said a Lawrence County kid, that set up a red flag. Are they saying we'll take a Butler County kid, but not a Lawrence County
They
kid?
said they were full, and I can tell you that for sure they took a kid from, I might get it wrong, it was either Forest or the one right next to Forest Warren. They took an IOJ kid, which shouldn't have even been in there. They should have been in a county jail. They just justice kid should have been in county jail, but they took them, dropped them down when they said they were full that same day, because I talked to the chief up there regarding an IOJ kid, and they said Keystone will take him. So I brought it to their attention. They said a bed must have just opened up, and that's where we're at. So we've become accustomed, and we've been able to find other places. I would love to use Keystone. We've been able to adjust around that. So if it's for some reason they don't want a Lawrence County kid, they haven't said it. It's my gut feelings telling me yes, that's the case. Should I say that? Probably not, but I did.
It's on the record now.
Yep, it's and I would say if they were sitting here, because they'll be at our meeting, I'm sure, and ask John if I'm shy about saying anything I need to say when I'm there.
You've answered the question I was going to ask, and that is, do both of your departments have enough alternatives that you,
We find-
okay, that's all I'm,
We've become extremely versatile in the last 4 years. Trust me, it was an adjustment, but we've learned to adapt, improvise, and overcome.
5 years ago, I would have said that Keystone would have been one of our first calls.
Yep, same here.
Over time, from the CYS perspective, we use them as a contingency backup, in which we present the contract so that we continue to extend our net and have options. But by the amount of cases that they accept versus deny, they're a backup, they're not a primary.
have they had management changes during that time?
No,
Okay. I'm gonna see if Mr. Kennedy has questions.
No.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sonata? But you are, gentlemen, you are recommending that we give
It's still a
favorable
contract.
consideration.
I mean, it's an option, and, you can always hope in a pinch that, we've been in a pinch and we've asked. I mean, I'm
Okay,
not beyond begging when we need it, and say, hey, we really need a bed, can you help us out? I think about it, call back, and usually say no, and I move on.
thank you. Proposed resolution 201 is the Twin Pines Family Services based in Hopwood, Pennsylvania, which is in Fayette County. And this is a renewal, gentlemen.
this is a renewal for foster care. The rates range from $79.45 to $84.29. Again, county share with this type of provider is no more than 20%. If it's a child or children that is 40 eligible, which means they draw down the federal funds, Lawrence County would be paying 9-10 cents on the dollar. So it just all depends. If it's a child and family that qualify for federal funding, Lawrence County will pick up 9% of the cost. If it's a child that does not, or a family that does not qualify for the federal funding, our share of this is 20%. We don't use Twin Pines often. Again, they fall into that list of providers that we would work through as a second tier or third tier.
We can use it all.
Okay,
It's a more of a dependent type
understood.
facility.
Thank you, Pat. Commissioner Sonata, questions for these gentlemen? Thank you. Commissioner Kennedy? Okay, thank you. Proposed resolution 202 is the Genesis House, a New Beginning, based in the county of Philadelphia. Gentlemen?
So this would be a new contract. We have no children currently placed there. And this would be a fourth or fifth, maybe even sixth tier option. And what I mean by that is, in complex case scenarios, this provider would likely be from 90 down, right? So we will have been told no 80, 90, maybe even 100 times. Because as I stated earlier, our goal is to try to keep kids in Lawrence County and then keep kids as close to Lawrence County as possible. So if we have made our way to looking at a Philadelphia provider, again, this is a licensed provider by the Commonwealth. This is sometimes what I've described in previous meetings as a last resort, or to have them on contract for a rainy day. But we really hope not to need them. But if we do, we have a contract established. And it's the same piece of 80-20. We would pay no more than, as a county system, 20% of the total cost covered through our Act 148 budget.
Thank you. Pat, anything to add? It's all him. Okay. John, just to clarify one thing, and Mike is always very good about, first of all, I know I've said it already, it bears repeating. This document that Mike puts together is tremendous. But Mike also always points out that when he lists these, he, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, the address of the organization is more often than not, it's corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
Which means that some of these entities may have another facility elsewhere. So my question on Genesis House, you may not know the answer, and that's okay. Do you happen to know, do they only have one facility in Philadelphia, or do they perhaps have satellite facilities elsewhere. But if you don't know that, it's not that big of a deal.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but my recollection is this is a Philadelphia County provider.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Commissioner, I've lost track of whose turn it is. I think you get to go first, Commissioner Sanada.
Fine.
Thank you. Commissioner Kennedy? Okay, thank you. And then the final one is number 203, Marikey. Did I pronounce it right? Pronounce it for me.
Marikey.
Oh, I got it right. Marikey, Pennsylvania, based in Lafayette Hill, which is up in Montgomery County, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. This is a foster care type of service, and this is a renewal. So gentlemen, if you could fill us in, please.
Yes, this is a renewal for a foster care agency. Their rates range from $114 up to $174.22. We do our best work to try to negotiate with foster care agencies and really all providers. And so that's why we attach that percentage rate sheet. I would say that this provider's rates are high as it pertains to this service. But again, the situation and the environment that we're working within, we really come forward to try to present all possible options because we never know when we're going to need a Marikey. Currently, we have no children placed there. And I would say this type of provider ranging from $114 to $174 a day is a tier 4 or tier 5 kind of option. They're not one of our first few options. We really do look for foster care at agencies like Cray and the Bear Foundation and those that are closer to home than we do providers that are further away. So this is a rainy day.
Well put. Mr. Micko, anything you wish to add?
Something that I use, foster care on his end, depending on.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, questions on this proposal?
No, all right.
Mr. Sanada? Question I'll ask my two colleagues. We have these proposed resolutions, 199 up through and including 203. Would you be agreeable to taking one vote to cover all of them?
Sure.
Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to see if Chris has any final questions or concerns on any of these.
No, Pat and Jonathan were very thorough, so I appreciate your research and efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioner Kennedy.
Just thank you, guys. This is, what he puts together, it's easy to understand. So thank you to Mike. Appreciate it.
Well, that being said, by the way, our appreciation, of course, to Mike and Lisa for always keeping us well informed. We have in front of us proposed resolutions 199 up through and including 203. Would one of you care to make a motion to approve all of them?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. If there are no other matters of discussion, we can go ahead and take a vote.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Gentlemen, any last concerns or comments?
Just thank you for your time and I hope you all have a good day. Thank all of you.
We wish you the same and thank you all four of you for being here.
I was kidding him earlier. Told him I had 5 minutes.
We're gonna lose half your audience.
Yes, as we always say, if you folks have to move along, we understand.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. The next proposed resolution, number 204, has been put together by our county solicitor and our assistant solicitor. This is what we're doing is establishing a formal right to know policy for Lawrence County government. And this basically, and it's a 9-page document that the two attorneys drafted. In advance of this coming before us, I posed a question to Solicitor Madore with the understanding that since the right to know law was put into effect, obviously we've adhered to it. I mean, it's a formal document. Mr. Sanada probably voted for it. And it's a law to which we have followed and to which we have adhered. So my question to Solicitor Madore was, well, what's prompting us to now, today, putting this policy into place? And his response, which I thought was a very good one, he said, there have been a number of court decisions relating to the right to know law that he feels are such that we should have an actual formal policy over and above the law itself, which basically the two go hand in hand. And he also noted that both the State County Commissioners Association and the State Association of Township Supervisors are recommending to their members that those who don't have a formal right to know policy should put one in place. Now, I'm going to stop there. I'm not sure if either of you had similar discussions with Jason or with Emily, our deputy solicitor. Is there anything that, I'll start with Dan, anything maybe I've overlooked or you'd like to talk about on this one?
No. I've looked this over a couple times. Makes sense.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanada?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ken. I think it does make sense. We want to be in accordance with how it's supposed to be done properly and what the court decisions we have to abide by. And let's just make it formal and appropriate.
To our friends from the Newcastle News, the actual policy itself it'll be in the packet that I'm going to hand to you. So you'll have the whole thing here in just a few moments. So this again is coming to us with a recommendation from our solicitor and our assistant solicitor, who, by the way, Emily Sanchez Perotti, is our right to know officer. So matters of right to know go to her. So she and Solicitor Madore work very closely on drafting this. So gentlemen, if you're so willing, I could take a motion for us to approve this resolution number 204.
I move we approve resolution 204.
Thank you, Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote then, please.
Commissioner Sarnado,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Mhm.
We have two resolutions that will deal with transfer requests. The first being number 205. This is a request coming to us from the Human Resources Office asking that $500 come from the Commissioner's contingency line item into the Human Resources legal expense line item. Again, this is a $500 transfer request. Chris, any questions on this first one? Dan, anything?
No, I'm sorry about that. I
Oh,
was looking at the next one, I'm thinking, that doesn't say 500. I'm one ahead of you.
That's fine. So that being said, this first one is number 205. Would someone care to make a motion for its approval?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. If there are no other questions, we can take a roll call on 205.
Commissioner Sarnado,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 206 is a request from our county solicitor. He is asking for a $7,500 transfer from the Commissioner's contingency into the line item of Solicitor Special Counsel. We have some legal invoices that need to be paid under that line item. Gentlemen, any concerns on this one? Would someone care to make a motion?
I move we accept the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Thank you both, gentlemen. We'll have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sarnado,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then we have a few administrative transfer requests. I'm going to read them. Stop me if you have any questions. And then when we get to the end of them, if you'd like, we could take a vote on all of them. The county coroner is asking for a total transfer of $25,075. It is coming from his budget. He'd like to take $25,000 from his vehicle expense line item into his line item of Act 182 vehicle, which I'm assuming is a purchase of a vehicle. Thank you. And then the $75 transfer is from his contingency into that of maintenance and repairs. Again, all within his budget. The Mental Health Developmental Services Office is asking for a total transfer of $50,000. It's broken out as follows. $20,000 of that is coming from the Mental Health Administrative Management line item going into Mental Health Respite line item. And then $30,000 is also coming from the Mental Health Administrative Management line item going into their forensic services line item. Gentlemen, any questions? Okay, thank you. Judge Amodi's office is requesting a $500 transfer from their contingency into their line item of equipment lease and rental. And then the Information Technology Department is asking for a transfer of $40,500 from the capital expenditure contingency line item into their other improvement line item, and this is specifically for the cabling project. Do you know at least a little bit about what the cabling project is?
I believe it started a while ago, and I believe the funds came through at one point into that funding for an ARPA.
Okay,
project.
coming back to me, it was our
They
money.
came, if you remember, they came through and rewired. Now, I'm not sure where the cabling is now, but they were doing our outbuildings and getting everybody on, and I'll be the worst to explain this, but one server, one technology.
Right. No, you're-
backup and so forth.
You explained it far better than I could. And as you're saying it, it's all coming back to me, so thank you. I'm gonna see if, actually, Chris, on this one or any of the ones we've just discussed, any questions on any of them? Okay, thank you. Mr. Kennedy? Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, we have those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 requests for transfers. Would one of you wish to make a motion to approve them?
I move we approve this.
I'll second.
Thank you both. We'll take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Under announcements, the commissioners will meet a week from today on July 30 at 10 a.m. in public in this room. Everybody's welcome to attend. 2 weeks from today, there will not be a commissioners meeting. We will be attending the annual County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania's conference in Adams County. And then I'm seeing here that on Tuesday, August 6th, the Lawrence County Opioid Advisory Board will hold their monthly meeting at 12 noon in this room, and that meeting is open to the public. Those are the announcements that we have today. Let me open it up for public comments or questions that anybody might have.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to know, how many requests have you gotten, like, in recent months, or how, you get a lot of them?
We did. Yes, I'd say certainly our fair share.
Your number?
I don't, that would probably be Jason or Emily would probably have the exact numbers. Emily certainly would.
And, what's the special counsel for?
Contract negotiations?
Contract negotiations for us.
That would be Mr. Palumbo's legal firm,
Yes.
who we've used in the past. You're very welcome. Hayden, anything?
Nothing, sir.
How much longer do you have, Hayden?
1 week,
Oh, wow.
You gonna be here next week or?
a little bit, I'll be here a little bit.
Hopefully, we'll, if you're able to make our meeting next week. If not, I hope our paths cross again. Anastasia, anything? I don't want to put you on the spot, but anything that you would like to ask, or you're a county resident, you're welcome to speak your piece if you'd like.
So much. This was a great informative meeting. Yeah.
So they're kind of dry. I mean, not a lot of fireworks. My friends saw the fireworks over the weekend. But we greatly appreciate you taking the time to.
Make sure Andy knows we did a fine job of this.
That's right. Just tell Andrew to behave himself.
Yes.
That takes care of public comments. Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Mr. Kennedy.
None.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Sanada.
No, I think we had a lot of comments earlier in the first round. So
You can watch that part on TV.
Okay. Thank you. And then, as I always do, I'm going to ask Joe or Vanessa if we've maybe missed anything or overlooked anything. Okay, well, that means that we can now adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that one.
I'll second.
Thank you both. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried and the meeting is concluded. And Joe will turn off the computer. Thank you all. Maybe it's a pretty thick packet.
Okay.